Glory. Calm down. Alright, Shalom, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Baruch thumb to the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh Shema, Ayathun by Hashem, Yahweh Shai to the sisters. We're the Israelite School, Universal Practical Knowledge, started at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group, nor any other Christian organization. Alright, so tonight's class, we're going to pretty much get right into it. So, this may be a recap to others. This might be something new to some. Alright? But it's alright. Because remember, when it comes to learning a language, it's about doing it over and over and over again. The Lord says rehearse the righteous acts. Alright? The Lord talks about that. Alright? The Lord talks about rehearsing the righteous acts. We always want to go over and over and over and practice this again and again and again. It's something that you want to do. Alright, if you want to get fluent in the Hebrew, you got to practice it over and over and over again. Alright? But now, so tonight's topic is going to be about numbers and the numeric values that we have in the alphabet. Alright? Warriors, sit down. Sit down. Everyone, be quiet. That's enough. Now tonight's topic is going to be about numeric values. Alright, how our alphabet has numeric values and the different numbers. Alright, so we're going to get pretty much right into it. Also, don't forget to check in and sign in either. Don't forget to check in and sign in. Alright, we're about to get started in a few. Alright. If you guys have any questions, also put it, type it in as well. But don't forget to sign in or check in. Put name, city, and state. All right, name, city, and state. Do not forget to sign in and check in. Don't forget to check in and sign in. All right. If you guys have any questions, you guys can also put into the live chat. But do not forget to sign in and check in. Put your name, city, and state. Alright, name, city, and state. Okay, so what we're going to do, is go over numbers. But at the same time, I'm going to teach the numeric values. So, within the Hebrew alphabet, within the Lashawan Qadash alphabet, like your I, your Ba, your Ga, Slaka, your Ga, your Da, your Wa, your Za, your Ha, and so far and so forth. Within our alphabet, this is something that we may have not known, but each of our letters have a numeric value to it. So the letter I, has a numeric value. The letter Ba has a numeric value. The letter Ga has a numeric value. Each of our letters have a numeric value to it, all the way to Za. Like I said, the alphabet. You got your A, Ba, Ga, Da, Ha, Wa, Za, Ha, Ta, Ya, Ka, La, Ma, Na, Sa, and so forth, all the way down to Tha. Each of those letters have a value to it. Alright, so each of our letters within the alphabet have a value to it. Now the reason why it's so important to learn the values that comes with our alphabet, because you want to know that these are our numbers too. Like for an example, we don't have, like in English, that we know now. For example, in English, you have the number 1, That's in English, And pretty much throughout the entire earth, This right here is the number 1. This is what the number 1 is universally known as. But in the Hebrew language, that's not what the number 1 looks like. In the Hebrew language, the number 1 looks like this. The number 1 looks like this. So this might be the number 1 that we may know, but in Hebrew, this is the number 1. Another example. I told myself I wasn't going to do that. I told myself I was not going to do that. So lucky. Now I got a whole black mark on the board. I just cleaned the board. I can get me a new dry eraser. Now it's going to bother me. So lucky. So, for another example, let me just go ahead and toss this to the side so I don't get it all construed. So now for another example, if everyone is following along, like this is the number 2. We know that as the number 2. Let me write that a little bigger so y'all can see it. They don't look as big. So this is the number 2. Like this is what the number 2 looks like. We know this universally as the number 2. But in Hebrew, that's not what the number 2 looks like. Is everybody following along? Like this is not what the number 2 looks like in the Hebrew language. The number 2 looks like this. Which this is the letter Ba in Hebrew. This is how you would write the number 2. Now you won't pronounce it as Ba, You won't pronounce it as Ba. You would pronounce it as 2. In Hebrew, that's Shanya. So we're going to go over the numbers and we're going to go over the alphabet simultaneously. So we're going to learn the alphabet and we're going to learn the numeric values that come with the alphabet simultaneously. Because we're going to want to know this. Why? Because throughout the Bible, we have to know these numbers. We have to know these values. Because we're going to have to know what verse we're on, what chapter we're in. It's not going to say chapter 1. It's going to say Parak, and it's going to, let's say, well, for an example, we have the number 2 on the board. It's not going to say chapter 2 in Hebrew. It's going to say Parak, and it's going to have a Ba next to it. So you're going to be like, well, if you don't know this, you may look at it like, well, what is that saying? Parak ba? No, that's saying parak shanya. Because shanya is 2 in the Hebrew. Alright? Meaning chapter 2. Or break 2. Alright? Parak meaning breaks. Like chapters are breaks within a book. It's breaking the book up into chapters. So chapter in Hebrew is used as parak. P-A-R-A-Q. Parak. So this is how you would write the number 2. Now that's just for an example. All right. So let's pretty much get to it. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. All right. Alright. So now, where do I have that? So now what we have on the board is the first letter. Now the first letter that we have on the board is the letter A. Alright, the first thing we have on the board is the letter A. Alright, that's the first letter we have on the board. Now this is the first letter. Alright, this is your A. Now I wrote it in the Assyrian. Now I'm most likely going to write more so in the Assyrian today due to the fact that the Assyrian is mostly used. Alright? Yaladi. Go push out. Sit down. No, not too much noise. That is teaching class. I don't want to have to say it again, alright? Go push out. Understand? Alright. So now we're going to be in I'm mostly going to write in the Assyrian script. Now the reason why I'm going to write in the Assyrian script because the Bible right now is mostly written in the Assyrian script. So we're going to stick majorly with the Assyrian script. Now I'm going to add the Paleo here and there, but we're going to focus on getting used to reading the Assyrian script. Alright, that's something that I even do myself. I love the Paleo to death. I love the ancient script to death. I love it, trust me. Don't even get me twisted, don't get me wrong. I love the Paleo. I love the ancient script. And I actually despise the Assyrian script. But we're going to have to get used to it, alright? The more we see it, the better we're off, because the majority of the Bibles in Hebrew are written in the Assyrian script and not so much the Paleo. Alright. So now you have your Ah. This is the letter Ah in the Assyrian script. This is in the English. Ah has a numeric value of the number 1. So Ah, the letter Ah has a numeric value of the number 1. So Ah has a numeric value of the number 1. To say the number 1 in Hebrew is Achad. Alright, Achad. Achad, which is 1. Achad, 1. Achad is how you say the letter 1, the number 1. So Achad. I wrote it in the Assyrian. I also wrote it here in the Paleo. Now, if you guys don't know, for time's sake, I guess next time I write it a little bit higher. Alright, but this is your Ah, this is your Ka, and this is your Da. Alright? So this is your Ah, this is your Ka, this is your Da. Alright, so your Ah has a numeric value. Your Ah has a numeric value of the number 1. Now the reason why this is important, because this is how you know that you're in verse 1. So when reading the Bible, I'm going to give an example. So when reading the Bible in the Hebrew, alright, when you're reading the Bible in the Hebrew, you're not going to see the number 1. You're going to see the letter Ah next to it. And this Ah has a numeric value of the number 1, which is Ah. Alright? We don't write numbers like this. We write our numbers like this. Think about it like in algebra. Think about it in algebra. I don't know if you guys remember math in school, but there's a time and point when you come into your life, you come into middle school, you learn something called algebra, which is in math. And so algebra, there are letters that have a numeric value to it. So for an example, let's say Ah is your variable. In algebra, your variable is usually a letter. So Ah right here is your letter. Well, guess what? Your Ah has a value of 1. Think about it that way. So this is your variable. Your variable is Ah, which is the letter Ah in Hebrew, and it has a numeric value of the number 1. Alright? So think about it in that concept. Ah is a variable, and it has a value of the number 1. In Hebrew, our letters have values to it. Alright? Let's get the next one. Let's get the number 2. Alright, so what we have on the board now is the number 2. Right, this is the number 2. So in Hebrew, alright, in Hebrew, our letters have once again, our letters in our language, we have numeric values. So in Hebrew, this is the letter Ba. This is your Ba. This is what your Ba looks like. This is the pronunciation. This is how you pronounce it. Ba. A B and an A. Ba. Right? So this is what your Ba looks like. Ba. The Ba has a numeric value of the number 2. So in Hebrew, the number 2 will look like this. In English, it looks like this. But in Hebrew, it looks like this. Alright? So it's Ba. Okay? Ba has a numeric value of the number 2. So now when you see the letter Ba now you know that it has a numeric value of the number 2. Now, when we say our alphabet, right? A, Ba, Ga, Ga, Ha, Wa, Za. It's not an coincidence that we say our alphabet that way. The reason why we say the alphabet that way is because our alphabet has numeric values to it. A is the first letter in the alphabet, so it's the number 1. Ba is the second letter in the alphabet, so it's the number 2. The number 2 in Hebrew is pronounced as Shanya. Shanya is 2. So Shanya is how you would say the number 2. Shanya. Shanya. Shanya is how you would say the number 2. So the numeric value for the letter Ba is Shanya. Right? Alright? So the value of the numeric value of the number of the letter Ba is the number 2, which is Shanya. This is your Shanya in your period. This is your Shanya. This is your Shanya in the Assyrian. This is your Shanya in the period. Alright, this is your Sha, your Na, and your Ya. Put it together, Shanya. Alright, Shanya, which is 2. Alright. Now, like I said, this is very important to learn due to the fact that this is something that we need to know. Alright, this is something that we need to know. The previous classes we were going over the books of the Bible in the Old Testament and their names and how to say it in the Hebrew. Well, 1st and 2nd Chronicles and 1st and 2nd Kings, this is why this topic is being spoken about. Because 1st and 2nd Kings, it doesn't say 1st or 2nd Kings. It'll have either a A and a Ba next to it. And now A and a Ba has a numeric value to it, which is the number either 1 for A or the number 2 for Ba, and so on and so forth. But so far it's just 1st and 2nd Chronicles. So now, right here, this is Shanya. Alright? This is the letter Ba. And the numeric value of the number 2. And Shanya is how you say 2. Alright, let's get the next one. Okay, so what we have next on the board, alright, what we have next on the board is the letter, the letter Ga. Alright, this is how you would write the letter Ga in the Assyrian. So your Ga would look like this in the Assyrian. It's pronounced Ga. This is the number 3. So Ga has a numeric value of the number 3. So Ga has a numeric value of the number 3. Alright? So when you see it, this is your Ga. It will have the numeric value of the number 3. How to say the number 3 in Hebrew is shalash. Alright, shalash is how you would say the number 3. Shalash. 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 Which is 3. This is your shalash in the Assyrian. This is your shalash in the Paleo. Alright, it's pronounced shalash. Alright, shalash is how you would say the number 3. Now remember, the letter Ga has a numeric value of the number 3. Alright, so the letter Ga has the numeric value of shalash. So shalash is how you would say the number 3. So Achad is number 1, right? Shanya is the number 2. Shalash is the number 3. Alright? If you guys have any questions, you guys can put it into the live chat as well. If not, we'll continue. We're going to get to the next letter. And the next letter. Alright, so what we have on the board now is the number 4. Alright, what we have on the board now is the number 4. Now the number 4 in the Lashawan Qadash is Arabai. Alright, Arabai. So, the letter we have also on the board is your dot. This is your dot in the Hebrew. Alright, this is what your dot looks like in the Assyrian. Alright, this is what your dot looks like in the Hebrew. Alright. Now dot. Da has a numeric value of the number 4. Alright, Da has a numeric value of the number 4. Alright, 1 second, Wood. Hey, Wood. What up? Don't mess with him no more. Alright, so your Da has a numeric value of the number 4. So your Da has a numeric value of the number 4. Alright, to say the number 4 in the Hebrew is Arabai. It's pronounced as Arabai. Arabai is how you would say the number 4. This is how it's written in the English, Arabai. Alright, this is how it's written in the Assyrian, Arabai. And then in the Paleo, Arabai. This is your your Ra, your Ba, and your Ah. This is your your Ra, your Ba, and your Ah. You put it together, it's Arabai, which is the number 4. So you would say the number 4 as Arabai. So the number 4 is pronounced as Arabai. So Da has a numeric value to, alright, has a numeric value of 4. Alright, so next, let's get the next letter. Alright, what we have on the board now is your Chamash. Alright, so the letter we have is Ha. This is the letter Ha in the Assyrian. This is how you would say it in the English, it's Ha. Yaha has a numeric value of the number 5. So Yaha has a numeric value of the number 5. You would say the number 5 in Hebrew as Chamash. It's pronounced as Chamash. Chamash. Your Chamash is the number 5. This is your Ha, this is your Ma, this is your Sha. Alright, in the Assyrian. This is your Ha, this is your Ma, this is your Sha in the Paleo. You put it together, it's pronounced Chamash. Your Chamash is the number 5. So your Chamash is the number 5. Your Ha has a numeric value of the number 5. Alright? Now, so now remember, Ha is the 5th letter within the alphabet. You have your A, your Ba, your Ga, your Da, and then your Ha. Right? Ha is the 5th letter in the alphabet. Alright? Alright, it's the 5th letter in the alphabet. And it has a numeric value of the number. Ha has the numeric value of the number 5, which is pronounced Chamash. Now remember, we need to know these numbers. Because if we don't know these numbers, then we're not going to be able to understand when we're reading the Bible in the Hebrew. Because remember, it's not the number 5 written in Hebrew is not written like this. The number 5 in Hebrew is written like this because this letter has a numeric value of the number 5. So if I write Ha right here, I know that it's most likely talking about the number 5. Does that make sense? So if there's a Ha written most likely somewhere far off in the pages, it's talking about the number 5, especially if it's alone. Alright? It's pronounced so Chamash. Chamash. Let's get it. Alright, so now what we have on the board now is your Shasha. So the letter we have on the board, Salaki, I should say, is the letter Wa. Alright, this is how you would say it in English, Wa. Wa has the numeric value of the number 6. To say the number 6 in the Hebrew is Shasha. Shasha is how you would say 6. This is your Shah. This is your Shah in the Syrian. This is your Shah. This is your Shah in the Paleo. Shah. Put together, means 6. Shah is 6. So Wa has a numeric value of the number 6. Alright.